Since Fontaine finally arrived and it's been out for, well, a few weeks now, I thought I'd sit down and give you all my first impressions, let you know how much I'm enjoying it, and also answer if it's an update that people should or have been coming back to Genshin for. Let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, the whole area design of Fontaine is quite possibly one of my favorite things in Genshin right now. I've always been a lover of Mondstadt because it feels like home, and I didn't really like places like Inazuma too much. It felt too hostile, but Fontaine kind of feels like a second home right now. It's beautiful, a ton of fun to explore, and it's got that kind of similar feeling to Mondstadt, and I'm not too sure why. Obviously, we have both underwater, overworld, and underground exploration in Fontaine, which is a whole new thing for Genshin, and the multi-layer map helps an absolute ton. And so far, I've found exploring quite a treat, to be honest, especially the underwater, although I kind of wish the combat was a little bit more character intuitive underwater instead of just stealing abilities and using them. For the overall area design, I think I'd probably give it a solid 8 out of 10. Even though there's underwater and overworld and underground, it still feels a little bit small, a little bit enclosed, especially compared to Sumeru. I mean, Sumeru is huge, and maybe it's just the map that looks small. And I'd be lying if I said I was fully caught up as well. There's still a ton of exploration and content that I haven't even done yet. But speaking of exploration, let's move on to that, shall we? Thank you to Reverse 1999 for sponsoring the video. Reverse 1999 is a 20th century time travel strategic RPG developed by Bluepoch. It's an alternate Earth where arcanists and natural-born spellcasters along with ordinary humans coexist. Something catastrophic has happened on the last day of 1999 and the flow of time has come unraveled. It started flowing backwards in a phenomenon known as the Storm. Vertin, the timekeeper, sets out to find the truth about the Storm and the year 1999. The game's set to launch on mobile and PC platforms this year globally, and you can pre-register right now. One of the free pre-registration rewards is a free 5-star character, so don't miss out on that. The game has fantastic English accents.
Here is an official offer that you joinest Manus Vindicte.
And phenomenal gameplay with some pretty interesting character designs too. I can't wait to check out the game for myself, and if you're interested, click the link down in the description below. I think the overworld of Fontaine for exploration is stunning. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's deadly. For the first time in a while, there's actually difficult enemies in the overworld that do a lot of damage and want to kill you, and that don't just die in like 2 or 3 hits. It's more like 5 or 6 now, but we're getting somewhere. I love the diversity of the enemies and the Numa and Usia, different combat mechanics, being able to stun enemies and overload others, including the 2 new world bosses, or at least one of them. The 2 dancers that you meet in the arena are absolutely stunning. They're incredible. I mean, just look at them. During the fights, they do this dance together, sometimes right in the middle of the arena, sometimes one of them is on the outside of the arena, and it's beautiful. I do have one complaint, however. This boss fight is far too easy, and I feel like that's the case with a lot of the content in Genshin, and listen, I kind of understand it, okay? Bosses and weekly bosses and stuff aren't meant to be incredibly difficult because everybody has to do them, and I understand that. Which is why they put this thing here. I don't know whose idea it was to put a 3 million HP boss in the overworld at random, but god do I love you, because that is incredible, and that is exactly what we need in this game. I would love for this kind of thing to be a regular occurrence in Genshin, but for them to pop up randomly like world bosses in MMOs, for example. You don't need to kill them, you don't get anything super necessary for killing them, maybe just something cool, or like an achievement for killing X amount, and they spawn at certain times, or totally random. First time I came across, I think it was Vivian, I got absolutely demolished, and I haven't been back yet. And for the underwater, there's so many enemies that just want you dead. I came across these 2 manta rays that are just focused on gunning you down for the second you step foot underwater. And then there's this big, I think it was a seal? The warden of something that is just tanky as hell, and it's great. Listen, I think it's a fantastic change to have these bosses that are super tanky and super powerful, and that make you think. I've always advocated for enemies and bosses with mechanics in Genshin. I think it'd add a whole lot more depth to the combat than just hyper-inflated overworld mobs against a timer, because that's getting old, I'm not gonna lie. But overall, the exploration so far has been a solid 10 out of 10. Honestly, it's been my favorite region to explore so far, and I haven't even finished all the world quests yet, and I know that unlocks even cooler areas, which brings me cleanly onto the world quests. So I haven't done many world quests at all. In fact, I think I've only done 1 or 2, but the world quest that I have done was incredibly well executed. Basically get introduced to a character at the Statue of the Seven, and you go on this adventure together. A couple of twists and turns along the way, you find out the truth, and there's a part 2, and it's fantastic. I'm not going to go into too much again because I don't want huge spoilers in this, and that is something you should experience for yourself because it has some of the most interesting and fun characters that I've seen in Fontaine so far. Trust me, it's good. I'm not going to give a solid rating on the world quests yet because, like I say, I haven't done them all. However, everybody else has told me they are absolutely phenomenal. But I'm kind of sick right now, and I want to make sure my throat's okay for when I do like a 4 to 6 hour world quest, you know? I learned my lesson with the Mahavana Ranapna. Now, the Archon quests. Oh my god. I didn't think they could top Sumeru's Archon quest, but I was wrong, dude. I don't know. Fontaine kind of blew it out of the park for me. I feel like Sumeru got the writing quality down, and then Fontaine got everything else and just matched it up to new heights. It's very cinematic. The story is incredible so far, and I'm super excited to find out more. And I feel like we're finally getting shown and not told a lot of the information that we need, which is something that I've wanted from Genshin for a very long time. The characters that we meet in the Archon quest have interesting personalities and are very, very different from each other too. I mean, we have the Hydro Archon Farina or Fossilors, who is this spoiled brat by the looks of things, and I kind of love to hate her, even though I don't hate her. I really do love the character that she is, but she's there to be annoying. I feel like Hoyo put her there to be annoying, and that's not a bad thing. Having those characters in the game is good to keep the brain going, and it's good to not always be super happy about everything, you know? And then we have characters with super complex backstories like Navia and Clorinda, which I won't get into too many huge spoilers here, but god, they have history. And it's really cool to see characters resolve their differences. In the Nation of Justice, where everything gets done through court, usually, seeing them resolve things personally is a breath of fresh air. And then we have Nuvalet, who might be one of the most interesting characters in the entire game, at least in my opinion. He's the only character that I've even considered pulling for C6 for, and he's showing a lot of signs of being the Hydro Dragon, or the Hydro Sovereign, which if he is, it's just going to be such a huge lore dump, and I can't wait to find out exactly what he is or who he is and how he came to be. We haven't even met the entire cast of new characters yet. We still have Risley, the little Melusine girl who I forgot the name of, my bad, I'm sorry, and a few others, namely a voice that we heard in the original Overture trailer. So I'm super excited to see how complex these character backstories get, but honestly, for characters, I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10 right now. I have no complaints. Now let's quickly talk about the new commissions. Commissions are something in Genshin that, in my opinion, are boring. For the huge majority of commissions, even if they are interesting for the first week, after the first week, they get incredibly boring. Feels like when I get up out of bed and have to go wash the dishes, but this time instead of my hands underwater, it's my character underwater chasing a jellyfish, just like in Sumeru. It's just not what I wake up looking forward to, you know? Genshin Impact did mention in one of the developer notes that they were looking at completely reworking the way that you get your daily rewards. So I'm kind of hoping at some point, instead of the daily commission system, we get something like Honkai Star Rail, where we get a list of different things to do, and we only have to select like 3 or 4 of them max to be able to complete those and get the rewards. Hopefully some interesting things too, because please, I can't keep jumping on mushrooms and chasing weasels around for 3 hours a month. The new Strongbox is also really cool. As much as I hate it because all I get is trash artifacts from that thing, it's a great addition to the game. I mean, a lot of people farm Emblem, and a lot of people have artifacts that they don't want to use, so they'll just shove them straight into the Strongbox and hopefully get something good. And it's nice to get those small quality of life changes. However, this month is Genshin's 3rd anniversary, which could potentially bring some huge changes to the game. I'm not want to get my hopes up too much for this kind of stuff because, I mean, it's happened in previous games that I've played where I really wanted something to change and it doesn't. But with the amount of things that are changing in Star Rail, for example, and I know the 2 games are run by different teams, but they are under the same company, I'm really hoping we get some cool quality of life changes, maybe a resin increase now that we're in Fontaine, with so many regions in, with so many new bosses and characters to farm for, that honestly it's needed at this point, especially for new players if they wanted to level up multiple characters. So I think a resin increase would be a really welcome change for the entire community. And I've got a couple of personal things that I would love to see, but I don't know if you guys would want this. You can let me know down in the comments. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I personally think for the standard banner in Genshin Impact that they should separate it at this point. I have a feeling Navia will likely be going on the standard banner, and I've said this is day 1 because we don't have a standard Geo character yet, and usually, I mean, we get a standard character per region at least, right? Sumeru we had 2 because Tignari had to go for Dendro and Dea, so I think it'd make a lot of sense. But as I'm sure a lot of you have noticed, with Tignari and Dea, and a couple of other characters too, we don't really see their weapons come back at all. So I think it'd be an amazing idea to split up the standard banner into 2 separate banners, one for standard characters and one for standard weapons. I think it'd also make people want to pull more on the specific banners. A lot of people really want the standard weapons, a lot of people really want the standard characters. There's not many people that want both, and that makes them kind of reluctant to pull because they'd rather just pull on the limited banners and hope to lose 50-50 at some point. point. So let me know if you think that'd be interesting. And in conclusion, yeah, people are coming back to the game. Pretty much every stream that I do, so many people come in and tell me they've returned for Fontaine, and I honestly can't blame them. And do I think it's a good idea to come back for Fontaine? Yes. There's so much new content to do in the game and it feels very refreshing, and it's a free game at the end of the day. I definitely think you should pick the game back up or pick it up for the first time and just see if you enjoy it. As someone who's enjoyed the story since I started the game, it's not getting stale anytime soon. And overall, honestly, for Fontaine, I would give it a solid 9 out of 10 so far. I'm very excited for 4.1, which is coming very soon, and to see the future of Teyvat. Let me know down in the comments what it is you're looking forward to about Fontaine, and if you have any questions, leave them down there too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for 160,000 subs, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.